and good afternoon. My name is Juergen Steinmetz, joining you from livestream.travel and eTurbo News in Honolulu. Today is Tuesday, January 26th, 4:20 in the afternoon here in Honolulu, and I'm joined with Dr. Peter Tarlow in College Station in Texas. Peter and I will update you about the latest in travel and tourism news on eTurbo News and what makes headlines around the world. Hi, Peter. How's everything in Texas?
Everything in Texas was really good again today. It was a very strange day. Yesterday was supposed to rain, but we had beautiful weather. Today it was supposed to be beautiful weather, but it kind of was miserable in the morning. But then I guess the weather decided it might as well become good. So in the afternoon, it was nice and blue skies in the 70s. But who knows? Right now, we're in that period of time where if you don't like the weather, wait 5 minutes and you'll get a different weather pattern. So every 5 minutes, the weather is changing. Hopefully, what is good though is normally this is the height of flu season. And the local health department has said that because so many people are worried about COVID, that the flu has gone down by over 90%. So this is the first year we've ever had such a small amount of people with flu. Now, of course, we have lots of people with COVID, but the flu, at least, it has gone down. So that's a positive.
No, absolutely. We don't want the flu and we don't want COVID.
Right. And actually, they're related to each other. And maybe one of the things we can learn from this whole experience, and then we can we can segue into the whole COVID thing in tourism, is so often the flu has gone down because people are wearing masks, they're washing their hands, they're maintaining social distancing, and many of the rules for COVID really help to prevent the flu. So maybe in the years following, when hopefully, God willing, COVID is conquered, people will have many less problems with influenza and the flu because they'll have learned to be social distancing. So speaking about that, one of the things that's been going on is in the news is Holland. And the Netherlands is having quite a difficult time with many people just absolutely refusing to be locked down. And it's provoked riots across the country. And people are, they've had the worst riots, I think, for many, many years that they've
40
had.
years, yeah. And Holland, of course, Peter, is, and I always considered Holland as one of the most liberal countries in the world, not because I also have a number of relatives in Holland, and actually I lived in Holland for a couple of years when I was a child, but I always admire Holland of being probably the most open and tolerant country of any country in the world.
And that's certainly how they promote themselves.
Yes, and it's the truth. It's really the feeling you can literally do anything in Holland and it's okay. But Holland has suffered under COVID-19 tremendously. There have been, as of Sunday, 966,000 confirmed infections in a country of 17 million people. It's not really
966, almost a million people.
Almost a million. So it means 1 in 17 people has been affected by COVID, and there are 13,686 people as of Sunday died on the virus. What is not good. Now the government blames, I think that's similar to what we hear in Portland and other areas in the US, blames these protests not on legitimate protests because there are riots and there are shops being put on fire and people are stealing. And so it seems to be, has a different motive, but it's under the
guise.
Umbrella, of
the guise of COVID.
Yeah.
Now, England, interestingly enough, today went over 100,000 dead people. So it joined, there are now 5 nations which have over 100,000 people who've died of COVID. And there were 4 nations, and now England joined the United Kingdom joined the club. And which is a terrible club. You don't want to be a member of that club. Interestingly enough, we're seeing problems and around the world. Of course, in Portland and Seattle, it's by a very different type of group of people who are using COVID maybe as an excuse, and they're anti-police and the pro-police, and it's a whole area. But what I think we're seeing though is people maybe are tired, and that's looking for excuses. Populations have been locked down for so long that people are just angry. And that anger is an example of tourism was a way of eliminating some of that anger. It was a safety valve because people got to go around the world, go to different places. And now walking to the end of your block is a major event.
Yeah,
So
and England is quite surprising. One of our lead stories is an argument I'm having with Gloria Guevara. She is the CEO of the World Travel and Tourism Council, and WTTC, what it stands for, represents the 100 or 200 largest companies in the world in travel and tourism. And
so she represents private industry in
the
tourism.
private industry, the large private industry. Well, with our new organization, World Tourism Network, we have been focusing on the smaller and medium guys, and then UNWTO focuses on the government and public sector. And Gloria's vision is really to open up the world and open up tourism and open up now because she said that tourism is in dire strait and could not sustain more lockdowns. And she's probably absolutely correct with the assumption that tourism is in dire strait and lockdowns are devastating for the industry. But the more we open up, it appears, and
The worse it gets.
the worse it gets. So, and WTTC says, of course, we're putting safety over economics, but I really see a desperation in the statement by Gloria right now in trying to say, okay, all these lockdowns and the hotel quarantines and all of this will not really help in tourism, and they would be devastating to tourism. And she rightfully say that no one will go on a vacation if you have to stay 2 weeks in a hotel room. And that's exactly what destinations want to do. They don't want the tourism, and that's why, you know, this is in fact
It's a real problem. And on top of that, business in tourism is not independent of government, and it's not independent of people's perceptions. And so that's a real problem because you might say you want to open up your tourism industry, but if your government says you can't, then you have your want and reality are not in sync one with the other. And so she certainly has a right to her opinion, but in reality, there are three groups of people there. There's the health professionals, there's the political professionals, and then there's a business. And we know that she is right that business is suffering terribly. Yesterday, we talked about all the hotels in Jalisco on the Mexican Pacific coast that are dying or up for sale or going bankrupt because you have to have at least 60% occupancy to keep a hotel going. And if a hotel has 20% occupancy, it's going to die. There's no doubt about that. On the other hand, no government is going to risk the health of its people in order to get more tourists. And
this is
you can't blame the government for saying, no, we got to protect people to keep them alive because you don't need an economy if they're dead.
Yeah, and of course you have different economies for the UK. Luckily, tourism isn't necessarily the largest. It's a very important industry, but not the largest industry. But in other countries it is. And it's interesting to look at a very small country, what is, however, tourism dependent, like the Republic of the Seychelles in the Indian Ocean. Seychelles they really didn't have a COVID problem. They didn't have COVID cases till recently, and they got these cases when they decided to start a travel bubble between Israel and Seychelles. So every day, 5 charter flights from Tel Aviv were landing in Seychelles, and these were literally almost the only tourists coming in. And this was a trial for the Seychelles to see, okay, how can we safely operate tourism? Now, unfortunately, this completely failed because people did get sick. Now this is all canceled. And
on top of that,
at the first casualties with COVID. So this is a typical example. Now what Seychelles is doing, being dependent on tourism, and I think this is an interesting move. A lot of other destinations may follow. They opened up the country completely to tourism, but only to tourists that have the vaccine. So that, of course, is something what probably only a small destination like Seychelles can afford to do. But it's interesting to see if this would really keep the virus out of the destination.
But you know, even in that, there's lots of problems because you have to have the airline willing to cooperate. you have to the host government. It's not only the Seychelles government, but if the local government says you can't come back. Now, no one's going to go from Israel or from India or from wherever they happen to be going. If their home government says, well, you're going to have to be 2 weeks in quarantine when you return. So it's not as simple as people sometimes want to believe it is. These are very complicated because you have multiple governments in tourism, multiple rulings by airlines, terminals, hotels, and everybody's got their own policies. And so that makes it just a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, no, we're living in, we're going through very uncertain times. And the news, of course, is full, and it's only about COVID. So before we got on the air, we talked about what other news can we talk about? You had a great idea, and that goes into wildlife, I guess.
Yes. So one of the interesting things that's taking place in Africa is that it's highly questionable how many elephants there are. And because elephants have been really attacked terribly, especially by poachers for their ivory. And so one of the things they're doing now to protect the elephants is the use of drones to be able to count herds of elephants and to see that these herds are maintaining themselves as stable. And this is being done through various parts of Central Africa, among the various African countries. And this is a really positive note because it's a way that the drone is not being used for military purposes. It's not being used as a toy. It's being used as a way to not interfere with wildlife. And on the same way, we're able to protect the elephants to make sure that poachers don't come in. And if we see there's a change, a rapid change in the population, then we know something is wrong, and we're able to send in game wardens to try to solve the problem before it gets out of hand. So every once in a while, we're seeing something really positive that's taking place. And maybe one of the hopeful things that will come out of all of this is that we're going to have to create lots of new inventions. And those inventions maybe will work to make the world, a little bit safer and a better place. And in that sense, tourism will really be helping because, as you know, that wildlife is a very important part of the whole African tourism experience. And God forbid if Africa loses its wildlife, of course, it's lost a major resource. And really the world, Africa is the heartbeat of wildlife. So it's very important that we not destroy the animal ecology that takes place in that continent.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's highly important for Africa, also for tourism and for the future of Africa. Well, we're almost at the end of our segment. I wanted to just ask everyone to stay on because we're going to be talking to Mona Naffa. Mona Naffa is an American. She lived for the last 14 years in Jordan, and she will talk to us about her experience flying back from Amman to Palm Springs, where she is. And it's fascinating how travel has changed over the last year, and you get a first-hand account on this. Also, tomorrow we have a different type of update. Peter and I, we still will do our update, and it will follow with a 1-hour live discussion you can actually be part of. It's about successful tourism leadership demands dynamic and innovative education and training with Dr. Eleanor Garley in New York. And if you wanted to be part of it, you can join our audience and ask questions. It's live. Just go to worldtourismevents.com, worldtourismevents.com, and you see the first event listed. Simply click on the registration form, and it will register you to your Zoom event. And after you register, you get a sign-in link. The sign-in link is unique to you. So there's not one link we're sending out for everyone. Make sure you hold on to this link, and we will send you an update also shortly before the event again in case you misplaced it. But Peter, thank you very much, and
you.
Hope, everything else is going well, and we see you tomorrow. And please, everyone,
I look forward to it. Stay well, stay healthy, and smile.
Yes, and we're going to hear from our sponsor, the Sandals, right now, and then Mona will be next.
Okay, you have a wonderful evening, and stay well and stay healthy. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Aloha again. We're now back and we're talking to my good friend Mona Naffa. Mona is an American. She's from California, but she lives in Amman, Jordan. How long have you lived in Amman, Mona?
Hi, Juergen. Good to be here. I am from Anaheim, California, now residing in Amman. I've been there now for 14 years.
Wow, okay, a long time. And it's you coming home sometimes you go to California because you're joining us now from the beautiful Marriott Hotel in Palm Springs, I believe.
Yes, it is gorgeous. It's very interesting how why I'm here. I felt compelled to quarantine. I flew internationally from Jordan to California. So I will be seeing many professionals and my family and a few friends. And the right thing to do is to kind of hibernate a little bit for 5, 6, 7 days. And I had a PCR test which was negative, but very surprisingly, Juergen, as I departed Jordan and I entered the US, nobody has asked for my test. So I came in on the 20th, the day of the inauguration, which was a fantastic day. Um, it was just a nice day to be here in the States as an American. And I continued on to California.
Wow. Now, let's go back a little because a lot of us, including myself, I have not been on an aircraft ever since March. My last flight was from Berlin back to Honolulu with a few stops when Corona just became a threat. And I remember when I left, we had 11 people on a United flight from Frankfurt to San Francisco. And
Wow.
it's a different world. Now, when you booked your flight to get to, I think you were flying eventually from Amman, you tried to make it to Palm Springs. So your first leg, you told me, was on Royal Jordanian Airline, which is a really good airline, to go from Amman to Chicago, correct?
Yes, exactly.
And so how was the check-in procedure when you went to Amman and got to the airport? What should people expect checking in Amman?
Well, because I had nobody to talk to, I had hesitation, and like you, I traveled the world. Being an American now residing in the Middle East, it's important for me to come back annually to my home in the States. Um, I was nervous. I did because I didn't know what to expect, but I was pleasantly surprised. The airport was COVID compliant, COVID-19 compliant, everybody in mask, everything was clean. I felt very safe. Also, the airport was empty. So there was a sense of sadness too to see such a facility. I'm talking now, Jordan,
Right.
uh, to just almost be empty. On the plane, once again, I felt comfortable. I felt safe. I felt clean. Though, of course, I had my wipes and I wiped down once again. But the whole plane was compliant. Everybody wore their mask. It's a long journey from from Amman to Chicago. We're talking almost 12 hours. But of course, you take off the mask to dine and to have your meal. But I appreciate the flexibility and the pivoting of the staff that everybody is accommodating to these new norms. Coming into Chicago once again, we were the only flight that arrived, and the secure, what do you call them? The folks that take your passport. I forgot the
And,
lingo.
and, and immigration, yeah,
Immigration. We were
right.
the flight from Royal Jordanian was the only one coming in, and I remember the police officer telling me, "It's like we've been waiting for you. You know, we had the whole airport to ourselves, Terminal 5." On the airplane, at the airports, it exceeded my expectations from cleanliness, safety, and feeling at ease. I am shocked, though, seeing the airports empty. I rented a car. The lot was practically one third available of cars. In other words, two-thirds empty. And I asked, where are all the cars? And the gentleman behind the budget counter said, most of the cars had to be sold. We need money. So they sold their inventory, their assets to pay off debts, bills, payments, or what have you. In the airport, you only see a handful of dining and shops open. So travel is part of our livelihood, being hotel owners. It is dismal. It is sad that we are at this point in our industry, Jurgen.
And and you're absolutely right. Now, when you go back to maybe on your experience on Royal Jordanian Airlines, the passengers on board, was the flight full or?
We only Arabs. There was no tourist. They were many Arabs, mind you. You know, coming back mid-January, many Arab Americans, such as myself, who probably spent some time in the Middle East or for the holidays, and or possibly got stuck, as myself. I have not traveled since last year as well, being that our airport was closed for many months, as well as there was not a need to travel.
Right. So when you got on this aircraft, people did travel, and you said you had to wear your mask. So the only time you can take your mask off is then for dining. What about when you sleep and relax? You have to wear your mask.
You know, I did. I did. I just felt compelled. I mean, mind you, I had somebody sitting to my right, and I felt compelled to. It's my duty to keep others safe as well as myself safe. I had the option of taking the vaccine in Jordan, but I chose not to. Um, I came from the medical industry. I worked in it many years before I moved to Jordan. I still believe in data and time. I know with studies, we need data and time for a medicine or a drug to come onto the market. Um, I come from the philosophy, such I have my mother was a nurse and worked in hospitals and what have you, and coming from the pharmaceutical background, I believe in keeping the strongest immune system as possible. With a strong immune system, we do our very best to fight off all diseases.
And we had a session not too long ago, and I will point out in the archive maybe again to watch the session on Jordan we did about the Dead Sea, uh, and it was quite interesting what you told us about getting your immune system, what you call at the safest place in the world to travel. And that's where you
Healthiest,
came from, the healthiest place in the world
healthiest.
to
Yeah,
travel. And
yeah.
yeah, and of course the vaccine. I personally think it's important. I cannot wait till it becomes available, but it may not be available for months to come. So the time is an issue. What works against you, but what works also for you, because you can see results. You can see how other people react to the virus.
Exactly.
I trust science telling us that the vaccine is safe. So hopefully that would be the case. I understand the vaccine. You're not really get the virus. Um, it is a different, and I'm not a doctor, not even far, but it's not many vaccines. You actually they make you sick a little bit, so you build this immune system. With COVID, it's different. So
Exactly.
what is positive? So you're saying you believe in time. Now, when you say this, would this mean after time you would take the vaccine, or you simply would not take vaccines?
I never even took the flu shot. And once again, working in our industry in pharma and medical, we always washed our hands. We This was just part of our lifestyle. We always did our very best to keep a strong immune system. I say this now. Once again, I want to live. I want to travel eventually for leisure. I don't know. I don't know. But as more time evolves, there's going to be more vaccines rolled out with more time and studies. I still would wait. And Jurgen, if I may share with your viewers, um, my personal experience as well. I'm here in California. It's gorgeous. I'm going to see my family. I've got some business issues to deal with. But if we don't need to travel right now, I would wait, because I'm in a destination which is beautiful, but almost everything is closed. So we travel around the world to go to a destination that is better than our own home.
Yeah, and of course there is a discussion. We just had a very interesting article, I think, yesterday when we got a press release from the World Travel and Tourism Council in London, and criticizing the UK government for not opening the hotels and not opening the borders, and with the new strain of virus UK is suffering and now going through. This is a very brave statement. And I can tell you just today, and this is not even published on ETN, we're working on the story. We had 2 cases of the British version of the virus here in Hawaii, one on Maui and one on Oahu, what is an alarming situation. And it's all directly and indirectly related to travel and tourism, I believe, unfortunately, as much as we want the industry. And you, as an industry veteran in the hotel business, you want travel to prosper. It's your livelihood, it's your business.
It's
And
our in our business. Um, but is it time that is going to help us or hurt us? Right now we're all hurting, with 10 months of lockdown, but there is no value if we're not healthy. And every time we have a hiccup, we step back 10 feet. What I do appreciate about the Americans being here, I am American, is how everybody's wearing their mask and they're quite compliant, keeping their distance. I'm here in the desert, there's a lot of space, but everybody's in their mask. And that is our duty as a human being, is to wear a mask and to be diligent and responsible, not only for yourself, but for our community. So the more we are compliant, the faster we can curb this virus and go on with our lives. The new variant, of course, is a bit scary. So let's get the numbers down together so we
yeah,
can.
and absolutely, we're all in this together. And when you look, of course, you go back to your experience traveling to Palm Springs. You made it to Chicago. I understand you spent a day or two in Chicago. You rented a car. The car was clean, I would assume. You felt comfortable.
I felt very comfortable. Mind you, I'm here. My room was very clean. I've seen the workers clean during a move out in their uniforms, very similar to what they wear in the hospital. Deep cleaning. No, I felt very clean, very safe in the rent-a-car, in the airplane, in the hotel. Especially with name brands. Marriott's got a very credible name. I'm not plugging any industry at all, but I felt very, very comfortable.
Now, when you traveled then from from Chicago to Palm Springs, you did not drive. You went back,
No, no,
you
I,
flew.
I flew into Orange County, John Wayne Airport, and then rented the car, like I said. And when I have to hear a story where inventory is being sold as to make ends meet, that's also sad as well. Then I drove into Palm Springs, comfortable. It's very sparse. Palm Springs, the peak season is now January, February, March. Very famous for the Indian Wells Tennis Tournament International. Everything is canceled. Um, the community really relies on the snowbirds coming in for the winter. They're not here. It's very sparse.
And you said the hotel swimming pool is closed. I understand the golf course is open. And
Golf course is open. Mind you, anywhere where people can go outside and spend time at a distance golfing. I see a lot of people walking. There's only one pool that's open, and you have to make a reservation. In other words, they're really trying to limit the numbers as not to have too many people um, in an area at once. I appreciate the strict rules at the hotels. They're doing the very best to be functional and accommodating, but implementing rules.
are restaurants open in the hotel?
No, no, everything is takeaway.
Okay, and you can have room service, I would assume.
You can have room service. People go to the supermarket, they stand in a queue, Trader Joe's, Whole Foods, Vaughn's. They don't allow too many people inside. Once again, everybody's wearing masks. A little bit different than Jordan. I appreciate the strong compliance here and the strict rules. So if we follow the rules, we will get through this faster versus
Um,
not.
Now, what do you estimate the percentage of occupancy is at the hotel you're at
Oh
right now?
gosh. They say we're coming into the weekend, maybe about 40%.
So that's not too bad.
Yeah, not
So,
too bad. But
okay.
once again, nothing is really we were missing out on the dining experience. The activity experience. I mean, mind you, Palm Springs is a golf haven and a tennis haven, and outdoor bicycling and walking. So that's all available at little or some cost.
Now let's go back to your last flight from Chicago to Orange County. How was that experience? Starting maybe with check-in, the airplane, and you said when you got to Chicago, you weren't asked for your certificate.
No, no, and I took all the precautions. I had my antibodies tested. I had the PCR negative test. I had everything ready. Nobody asked for anything, but I do understand that's going to change for international inbound travelers. I think effective end of January.
Right. Now, when you then boarded your domestic flight to go to Orange County, was this a normal experience, or were you asked also to show some kind of a test, or did
Nothing,
people check your temperature or
nothing,
anything different?
nothing was asked for. The check-in was very smooth. We probably had a quarter of the flight full, maybe um, 20 people on a United flight. Yeah, a good size airplane. Sorry, I don't have the number in front of me, but probably about 20 people from Chicago to Orange County. That's not a very popular hub. It's not like LAX, but at Chicago O'Hare Terminal 1, I was the first one going through TSA, no queues, so easy to check in, check out. What I really liked during COVID too, I must say, is I had to change my ticket many times because of the connection and not sure when I was going to leave Jordan to come to the States. I really appreciate the no change fees. And this is important for travelers. We as a traveler should orchestrate when we want to travel. It's nice not to be told by the airlines when they tell us when to travel.
No,
So
absolutely. And of course, in normal times when flights are 100% full or less, it's, to be fair to the airlines, it is difficult to let everyone just fly when they want to fly. But it's like the old days, you have an open ticket. They're not really around anymore. Now they're coming back. So it is a change, and we're going back to a scenario we maybe had 20, 30 years ago. What works, I think, for consumers' advantage, definitely. I
yes,
can
yeah.
see
I mean,
that.
they have to be flexible because my flight was changed and it was canceled and then a time change. So I couldn't get my connection in Chicago. That's why I had to spend the night. I spent one night, 2 days in Chicago because of the flight departures from Chicago. Because of the load and very limited numbers, they have to cancel many flights. And it was January, not a high season.
Right. And now you're in Palm Springs, you're enjoying your day. You say it's a beautiful day. So it
Gorgeous.
was worth traveling. You can go outside, you can enjoy the golf course and the desert, what is beautiful. And you're and you don't and you're not in a really crowded place. So that I think would be safe. And you have to be in quarantine, I think, for is
Well,
it
I
2 weeks?
chose to. Yeah,
Oh, you weren't required, you just chose on your own. Okay.
yeah, no, but I think under the new administration, it's going to be recommended. I don't know if they could set a mandate, but I chose to. It's my responsibility to people who I'm going to touch next week. So I just I would hope that this would be done to me if somebody was going to travel and visit me, that they would think the same way I'm thinking. So.
No, and that's commendable. And I know you're a person who cares and also knows the travel and tourism industry. And I welcome you to Springs, and I hope you have a great time and you stay
Thank you.
healthy
Thank you. I
and
would
stay
love to
safe.
take it to Hawaii someday to
I
visit your neck of the woods.
I hope you do. People coming in from California to Hawaii do need a test within 72 hours of arrival. And there are sporadic tests on this, they're required on this island within the first few days when you arrive. Not for everyone, it's kind of hitting the lottery, but the chances are a lot better in the lottery that you win. And and some islands you have to have a second test when you get here. So we're trying to keep our state safe, and hopefully we manage to do this. Today's news was not so encouraging, but what is encouraging, we have the lowest number in the United States ever since. And our numbers are, we have plenty of open hospital beds, intensive care, ventilators. So we're fine with this and we want to stay like this. So
Excellent, excellent.
let's hope this would be the case. But anyways, welcome back home, and hopefully we have you back on another show very soon.
Great. It would be my pleasure. I wish you well, and be safe, be well, aloha, and we'll be in touch. Thank you.
Thank you, Mona. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.